Welcome to World of Monsters. I'm Monster Master Arthur, and welcome to another sketch of the week, as we call it here. Today I'll be working on this HYDRA, and that was a request by Joshidites. Make sure you go check out his channel and subscribe. He works on monsters as well as recording vlogs. So once again, thanks for the request, and you guys are always welcome to request under any video on this channel, and I will note it down. Now, as I mentioned to you guys earlier in a previous video, I like to do these sketches of the week also because I can actually communicate with you guys and trust more in that my message will get across into a lot of you. And today, rather than talking about the actual artwork I'm working on here, actually I wanted to do a movie review. I've never done one. I never thought about doing movie reviews on this channel because there's a lot of great movie reviewers out there on YouTube. But after I saw this one, I made some mental notes and I wanted to give it a shot and just share my thoughts with you guys on what I felt about Underworld Blood Wars. And I just saw that at the theater a few days ago. And while it's still somewhat fresh in my mind, I wanted to get these thoughts out to you guys. If you do like movie reviews done by me, then do let me know below. But otherwise, I probably won't be doing them unless in other sketches of the week, maybe. So here are my thoughts on Underworld Blood Wars. Now keep in mind that a lot of this is from a monster lover's perspective. So the first thing that caught my eye was the CGI and CGI transformations, which were honestly not impressive in the movie. They were no better than in previous movies and actually possibly even worse. The first werewolves that were presented, their design was not that convincing, interesting, or even like cool in the aggressive sense of how a werewolf's appearance is often kind of meant to be, or preferred to be by many werewolf fans. They looked a little bit funny, actually. And do keep in mind that there might be some spoilers here, such as the next thing. So turn down the sound if you don't want to hear any spoilers. So along the line of goofy werewolves, I have to say that Marius, the main antagonist in the movie, the main bad guy, a big bad werewolf, kind of a combination of things. He's not a basic lichen as the other ones in the shows. Has this large werewolf body while keeping his own head on that body, kind of the features of his original human face and head. And it looks somewhat silly. Now, that is a hard thing to get done as an artist, to put the combination of a human head on a werewolf kind of big body and make it look right. So we get that. The design is a challenge, but I believe that going completely CGI and trusting in it, they made it a little bit sillier and, well, as I said, goofier than it could have been. It could have appeared a bit better, a bit more balanced, and a bit more believable, but it wasn't very believable. And I think with the movie so far in the franchise and with the technology and all the things that they have now, they could have done a better job. It seemed a bit rushed on the design aspect of some of these things, and I'm sure that it was. So we've beat on the werewolves enough. Let's go on to the vampires, and I find the vampires of Underworld a bit silly from the way they are dressed to their actions. If you look at how a lot of the henchmen and the kind of beginner level warrior vamps are dressed, it's just the silly kind of gothic clothing as opposed to, well, cool gothic clothing. There is attractive, well-designed gothic clothing and things like that, but the way the fashion designers decided to dress and the directors decided to dress these vampires in the movie was a bit silly, and you just can't take them seriously. I mean, vampires have many mystical and wise kind of aspects to them, and mysterious, and that's what people enjoy about vampires, not these kind of silly gothic beings that just look like people that want to be vampires in our own real reality and dress sort of funny at times too. And all you see that vampires do in these movies, they're just kind of sitting on the stairs. They all sort of have these smug noses up in the air as they walk around and chit-chat, and that's all they do. They don't do something productive, or they don't train, they don't work on artwork. They're just kind of sitting there and talking and drinking their blood or wine, acting like high Hollywood stars at some rich yuppie party with no purpose but to show off and to impress onto other people just how intelligent and intellectual they are, leading more by talk than by action. Okay, that was a bit too deep of a brainstorm and dissection, but that's just something I don't really enjoy about the vampiric society in these movies that I think could be totally improved upon. Some other areas where the movie fell upon it was the empty shooting. I called it empty shooting, where they just shoot each other a ton during the vampire and lichen battle. They're shooting and bullets are flying, and they're flying at the main characters and they're flying at the main antagonist, and nothing seems to stick. And when they do stick, they barely do anything. It was really overdone and sort of a letdown with how far we should have come with cinema. I mean, this is stuff we've seen in old action movies with Arnold and Rambo, and it was painfully obvious in this movie. There's this unbalanced overpowerness that you see often with main characters of a movie, where they have this great power and they express it, but at certain points of the movie when they need to express that power, suddenly they're weak and not much stronger than a regular human. For example, even the final kill of Marius, why didn't the main character, why didn't she do that earlier? Something like that. There wasn't much more in that position, in that scene, in that environment that gave her a chance to do what she did, that she couldn't have done earlier while she was battling him, which also brings up her magical return to life. That also could have been done much better and prepared the audience for such an amazing moment to happen, but it was just kind of cheap. And it also brings up the thought, why haven't many more of the vampires in that specific group above the frozen waterfall have gone through that same process where they could move so fast where they almost teleported from one spot to another? There was only one lady out of those vampires that could do that. And it looked like they were training another one, but they never showed any other vampire that could do that except for that one character and then the main character after she returned back to life with that ability. Or, well, she never really left this life. So as one reviewer mentioned, if you're going to watch this movie ignoring the plot holes, then it's not that bad of a movie after all. Now, what I did like about the movie, especially going in after having a long day of work, so when I was going into this movie, I was thinking there's going to be a lot of things coming up that I don't remember from the other movies or that I didn't pay attention, as some of the Underworld movies were a bit more complex with their storylines. This one was quite simple to my satisfaction. At the beginning, they actually did a nice recap showing what happened in the previous movies, which I rather enjoyed since I didn't just watch the previous ones. So if you didn't, you'll be alright going into this movie, as they do a nice little recap at the start and then move forward with this one. The simplicity of the storyline and the plot, again, I enjoyed because I wasn't expecting this to be a 9 or a 10 out of 10 movie. I was just hoping to enjoy myself and was wary that there might be some parts that are boring and drag too long. And I certainly didn't feel that too much with my tired mind and enjoyed that simplicity of what took place in the movie and what was expected. It was a decent watch. Now, that being said, a lot of the story, acting, and plot points just happened too fast, and which kept this away from being a seriously well-done movie. It felt a little bit more as with a short film or an animated movie. Animated movies tend to rush things a bit for an audience that doesn't care for all the little details and has a rather shorter attention span. So what I consider with movies that I largely enjoy is the time taken to introduce you better to characters, to introduce you better to an action so that you feel it and suffer it or you enjoy it more. But in a movie like this, large actions, small actions have similar amount of timing of preparation and kind of atmosphere to them, which doesn't really put you in the moment, but it keeps the movie forward. So once again, entertaining, but certainly not deep. And finally, another thing that I was somewhat proud of this being an underworld flick, a vampire versus lichen horror action kind of movie, that there was not much sex. There was a little bit of twist on the usual kind of oral sex, but that wasn't too long and definitely not as graphic as we've seen in the other movies. And I enjoyed that, not because I shun watching such things, but I don't like when movies try to sell out by showing such things, and of course they run in the trailers and the advertisements as well. So I would say the movie earns some kudos from that side. So those are my overall views on Underworld Blood Wars. I hope you guys enjoyed this movie review, and if you would like to hear more, then maybe I'll continue them in other sketches of the week, or if they're loved enough and you like my point of view and dissection of these things, maybe I'll start a new playlist for that. But back to the HYDRA, it should be finishing up here. As within the mythology of the HYDRA, it is very linked to water, so I wanted to stray away from the concept of it being more serpent-like, which I would normally be more attracted to with the Hydra because I'm such a huge fan of reptiles and all that, but I decided to stick with that water theme and go to something more marine-like, which are the eels. And so I chose to give it this eel sort of appearance, and their wonderfully textured, or sometimes distractively textured, surface of this paper actually served and helped to create this kind of fleshy, veiny, softer but still sleek and muscular fleshy body of this monster. So thanks for watching, guys, and in trying to keep these time limited, let's try to continue the discussion in the comments. Until next time.